Hey guys, it's Amber, the flow coach, and I'm here with my buddy Ryan.
Hey, how you doing?
Ryan, don't try to be formal because we're on camera.
Hey, how you doing?
So Ryan is fascinated by my bullet journals, which I've been doing. I have volumes of bullet journals, and so he asked me if I would help him with a bullet journal, with starting a bullet journal.
Yeah, just trying to get all this organized as
Or
best as I can.
is that? I hope that sound is not going to distract us in the background, but we're going to go through this anyway.
Let's just try.
So Ryan is a chef.
Yes.
And owns a business. And
few.
so a few businesses. And so staying organized is really important, of course, as a business owner. So what solutions were you looking for when you saw my bullet journal? What did you think it would help you? How did you think it would help you?
I think the best part about it was like the ease of referencing. So you had your index, your appendix, your table of contents, and you're like, oh yeah, I had this note from here from a conversation earlier. And you went into like a conversations tab. And that was like really exciting. I'm like, wow, like you actually have like a whole layout just for like certain areas of your life.
It's a total system.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it helps to keep you organized.
Yeah, it's a process and it works.
Yeah. Okay. So I said, okay, I should share this with other people because it's a process that works. So I'm glad you said that. And I'm going to tell you guys about bullet journaling. So bullet journaling is a method of, instead of keeping all these different journals, bullet journaling is a way of putting all your information in one place and organizing it so you know what to find where. So I used to be the type of person that had like 3 notebooks and a personal journal. And it would drive me crazy when I traveled, especially because I'd be carrying around these 3 big notebooks and they take up so much space. So I was like, okay, I want like a system that's going to let me like just carry something by itself. And I had heard of bullet journaling actually in Grenada, of all places, when I was doing my retreat there a few years ago. I'd heard of bullet journaling and I was like, well, that sounds good, but like, I don't know what that is. And then I got offered through the Flourishing Center where I did my positive psychology certification. They did a workshop, and I was like, I'm all in. So it was super helpful, and I'm going to kind of put some of those ideas in today's video while I'm showing Ryan how to bullet journal. I'm going to share that with you guys too, because it's really awesome, and I love it. And we'll see. Maybe I'll offer some bullet journaling workshops later on, but I'm going to give you at least an overview now. There's a ton of different resources you can find online about bullet journaling. I'm going to share some of those towards the end of the video. But I'm just going to show you mine and what my system looks like and speak to that and help Ryan get his started. So I'll start by showing one of my this was my first bullet journal. So it may look, at first I ripped the page. It may look like colorful and you're like, what is that? But it's really organized in that I have my key. I came up with my color coding and you start with an index. So we use these Lichtturm. Ryan, we just ordered one for him. Yeah, right? Wait, hold on. What is it? It's Lichtturm 1917. You can order these on Amazon. We use these journals because on the inside, they have these little dots and they're very light. So you can draw lines, you can do words. It really lets you use the page and create whatever you want with the dots instead of it being lines. And I'll show you how that works. But they also have an index in the beginning. And so they come ready to be a bullet journal. I don't know if this is why they created it, but it is pretty awesome. They also come with these that you can put on the front of or the back, your name, and when you started it. I keep on the side of my journals, I keep the dates of them, and I have volumes of them, and they come with those little stickers as well. So really helpful stuff. So your get started kit with a bullet journal would be to order one of these 1917 Luchtturms. Also to get, I didn't get this for you yet, Ryan, but we're going to get you one. Also to get yourself a little ruler. Ryan, if you can be our model and open the journal to the back and show that little pocket. So you'll have a little pocket back here, right here. So I have a little 6-inch ruler that I keep that helps me to draw lines inside of the bullet journal. Cool. And it can slide right inside that pocket. And I also get some really cool pens because you want to color classify. So I recommend getting erasable pens because if you mess up, then you can just erase it easily. Erasable pens and erasable
Beautiful.
highlighters, right? I do use some regular pens as well. This one happens to be erasable too, but it helps to have erasable because everything can look neat and good. You don't have like a lot of scratch outs. So there are erasable highlighters. They exist. Did you know that? I didn't. These are Frixion. Okay. And these are Pilot Frixion or Friction. Probably Friction. Not Frixion.
Friction.
Probably Friction. It's just spelled with an X. They're being fancy. And this is
Creative.
a .07. So just to, if you are a pen organizational freak like I am, you may want to get some thinner point pens for when you're just writing like your regular writing, and then some thicker point pens for when you're doing headings. I'll show you in my journal how it can make a difference. But so going back to my first one. So Ryan, I'm showing them, us, you in the camera. Okay.
I'm watching.
We are so freestyling this. So you'll see I created an index. And the index, as I'm going through my journal and I'm creating the content of what's inside it, I'm creating this index of what's on each page so that when I go back to look at this journal from February 2019 to November 2019, I don't have to flip through the whole journal looking for stuff. I can go directly to the page of what it is that I'm looking for and know where it is. So that is like a huge advantage to doing an index. So Ryan, I split my index in two, where I put this line down the middle to split it in two to have enough lines to reference all of the pages. There are 250 pages in here. And so I split it down in two, and for every 2 pages, which would be like that, I'm writing what's on the pages. All right. So the way I like to get started is to ask you, so here, let me make some space for you. What type of things do you put in your notebooks?
So like you, I have like a few notebooks and for different purposes. So for each business I have a little small journal. So I have one for my catering business. I have one for my digital marketing business. I have one for my consulting, and and then and my consulting is kind of mixed with my ideas as well. So like financial trading, business practices, anything that deals with business development. So I try to keep it separate so I can like always go back to that one and say, okay, price action. Let me go to that notebook. So I try to like organize it that way, but anything besides that, I just kind of like try to jot everything down if I can. For catering, I do planning, like what I need to order. It's like, certain event, client, every note related to it. For my marketing, it's all same thing, like, clients requests, task requests, certain research items, things I've learned, new tricks, okay, certain things to remind myself to research on, those certain points. And I usually try to do it here first on the journal. And then if I put it on like a task manager online, I make sure at least comes here because I'm always carrying this. And sometimes I forget to look on my phone for the task, but the task will remind me, hey, here's that link that you had. So I can at least click on it, which you really can't click here yet.
Right. Yeah.
So QR codes.
Right. In the future. Okay. So do you have a planner? Do you use a calendar planner?
No.
Okay. So if we could start with creating a calendar.
So that's going to be page 1.
To start you off. No. So good idea. Good point. However, so this is a part of why I wanted to ask you what's important to you. I don't start on page 1. I usually use page 1 for things that come up during that time. Like I estimate to keep one of these for about 6 months. So I use the first couple of pages for things that I want to see in my face. So like here, I'll show you my last planner because that was me getting the hang of it. This was me with the hang of it. So in the beginning, I started out with accepting abundance from the universe in these sources. So these are some of the projects that I was working on. And I started by listing out the projects. And this isn't all at once. I listed some and then I added to it. My goals also, see how my goals are in 3 different pens. I started out with my goals because my goals are guiding me throughout this whole journal. So I listed my goals on the first page and I added to it as I went, but when I'm opening my journal, the first thing I'm seeing is what my goals are. Actually, I'm sorry. This is the first page. This is the first page once you turn, but the first page on the inside of the book, Quartz Wellness is, and I defined my business. So as I was coming up with words around my business, that I was building my website at the time, and so I knew that I would get inspired by um, I get inspired by different words and phrases. And so I started collecting them and putting them in the front of my notebook. And so when I went to write about, update a bio, update um, uh, uh, any of my social media, update my website, I was taking from what's here. So I use this as like defining my business. Index, like we mentioned before. And then in the first, so you'll notice when you get this, the first you get your index, and then your dotted pages, page one doesn't start until a few pages in. So it's kind of set up for you to use the beginning for what's important to you.
There's
so
a page one here. It is numbered.
Yeah. So the pages are numbered, which is how the index works.
That's so cool.
So what do you want on your first pages?
Ooh, that's a good question, because I feel like, it's being like multifaceted sometimes, like all different directions.
Even if you don't know right away, you can leave. I would recommend you leave them blank.
Okay.
I highly recommend you consider goals and also what's important to you that's a part of your daily routine. Like if you wake up in the morning and you like to read positive quotes, you may want to leave a page for your favorite positive quotes so that you can see those when you first open your book. I have here defining moments and gratitude. I do defining moments and gratitude so that as we go along the 6 months, I define the things that I'm really grateful for that happened, and defining moments, big things that happened in my career. So I leave a couple pages for that because that's what I would put in a personal journal. And instead of having a separate personal journal, I write some of my journal entries, not all of them, not the longer ones, but I write some of my journal entries in here as well.
So if you're defining moments, is that within that period, or is that like throughout your life?
Within that period, within this period. So like you'll see
so
that
this volume from December to June 2020, these are defining moments.
Yeah, and so that way I can look back on life and know you have a great memory. I don't have as great of a memory, so I can look back and know the highlights. Right. Well, but journaling is not just for memory; it's for processing.
That's true.
Yeah. So, and it depends on how you process. You may not journal because you may process by speaking through your issues. Some people process better by writing through their issues.
It also makes me think like different topics or ideas as you write them all out, so I can kind of talk to myself in a way.
Brain dumps.
Yes.
Yeah. And we can talk about brain dumps too, because bullet journals are great for that. But so you'll decide what to. What the great thing about a bullet journal is that it's a customized journal. So imagine if you were to think of someone creating the best planner or journal for you, what that would be, and that's a bullet journal.
Okay.
So you'll leave your first couple pages. I made some recommendations of what to put on them. But so I've started here on page 2 with a calendar. So this started in December of 2019, not 2020. I just realized that. But so this is my calendar format, and I do the same calendar format for other months. Hold on, I'm trying to show you another month. So here's February, the same type of format. And then this is my weekly format. Now this might look a little messy. Let me show you one that's not as messy. This is organized for me though, because I know I have my system. If you can see here, the arrows moving over, that means I didn't accomplish something on that day. So it got moved to the next day. I'm circling the things that are most important, and in the honor of Eat That Frog and What's Your One Thing, those are 2 books that I love, The One Thing and Eat That Frog. I put my most important task at the beginning of the day so I get them done earlier on, and then put the other things that I get done after that. What I also use in the weekly is I time track and see how long it takes me to do things. So if there's a new activity that I have that I'm adding to like my standard operating procedure or what I do, my best practices of what I do like on a weekly basis, then I would say, how long does it take me to do that? And then I would time track that, and then I can block off time for it ahead of time the week ahead. So if I know I do a webinar on Wednesdays, there's a car passing. I do a webinar on Wednesdays. I know every Wednesday I have that webinar. I know that I'm going to need to take the recording of the video, upload it onto YouTube, do a recap of the video, put it on my website. I look at how much time that takes, and then I can block out time for that later on Wednesday or on Thursday to do it. So I know every week I'm doing that webinar, so I'm going to need that same amount of time. So that's how you keep on track and don't get behind. Like I'm not getting behind on it because I know that I need 2 hours after the webinar to do that. So I'll block those times in, and you see that represented here. I also do at the at the top, you'll see here, like, what are my top 3 objectives for the week? So I'll list like what's most important for me to do at the beginning of the week in the top part.
Okay.
And then at the bottom, these are my personal notes down here of like, call such and such back, or highlights. Like, you had a really good conversation with Angelique today. So I'll just make notes so that when I look back and say, when did I have that conversation with that client? Or when did that happen? I can look back and it's right in my journal.
So cool.
Another thing, so we'll get back to the monthly plan, but I'll show you my 6-month plan. I can use my index, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Let me use my index and find my 6-month plan. Da, 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 da.
Will it be earlier?
Vision plan, 68 to 69.
Okay.
See? I don't have to go flipping through it all. I go to 68 to 69, and this is my vision plan. So this is what I do for 6 months. I lay out, this was January, February, March, April, May, June, what I want to accomplish for each month, and then what needs to move over to the next month that I might not have accomplished. But it helps me to guide my months and my productivity. So if I say in April that I need to optimize my website, then I'm able to look at April and say, what does that mean? Define what optimize your website means. Ryan also does amazing online. He's like an online guru with websites and things. So you can relate to this.
I know a few things.
I know a few that a few huge companies have hired me to do. But I'll organize. So I'll say, what does optimizing my website mean? That means that I need to do X, Y, and Z. Okay, so X, Y, and Z, I'll do X week 1. I'll do Y week 2. Okay. I'll do Z week 3. And so when I look at, I try to plan a couple months ahead of time and then fill in extra details as I go. But making sure that I focus on the most important things and then taking them from the month. So the reason I'm showing you this is because you could actually start on page 2 with your vision plan, and then go into your monthly plan, and then go into your weeklies, and then take notes on your days as you want to. So where January, I was launching a webinar called Passion Pivot Purpose. I was building my coaching and consulting pages. That's what January said. So if you actually go over to January, you can see the reflection of what that looks like on a monthly basis in. Is this like helpful already?
It is. So I have a question about the 6-month plan and the structure of it.
Yes. Oh my God. Ask questions.
Okay,
I should have
cool.
stopped and told you to ask. Okay. What question do you have?
So you have your 6-month
Hello,
plan.
caller Ryan. What would you like to ask?
So my question is basically, you have your 6-month plan, your page 68, 69, but obviously this journal started, on page 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. Is it like a certain reason for like your structuring it in later of your journal versus like earlier?
Yeah. So the only reason, so I do usually start the vision plan in the beginning. You'll see that in my first journal. But I had done my 6-month plan, and it was in this one started in December.
Yep.
So my 6 months was from June to December, and it was in the previous notebook.
Okay.
So I had to refer back to that. But I learned I didn't like having to refer back to the other journals. So I made it a practice. And with my newest bullet journal, my vision plan is in the beginning. My son is trying to bust up out the house. So my newest journal, it's July now, so that's why this is blank. I literally just started this. My newest journal starts with the vision plan and then goes into July. Okay. So you see, I was just saying that I learned that I don't want to ever have my 6 months in a different book. So my newest one, it's right here.
Okay, so that fits in my head.
Yeah. So, but the awesome thing about this is like you figure out what works for you.
Okay.
And you create it. There are a ton of resources online that show you how to set up a bullet journal. Like, you can use it for tracking your calories. You can use it for tracking your time.
So water intake as well.
For who?
Water intake. That's what
for water intake. Yeah. You can, anything really that you need it for, you can use it for. I'll also show you my appendix, if you will. So in the back of my bullet journal, I keep, this is like coaching tips and resources. Here is best practices and tools. So I always leave the back pages as places where I want to be able to quickly get to things. And I glossary. I have a glossary, so there are terms that I either communicate a lot on, or new terms that I'm learning. Like I learned about marconics, and I was like, oh, let me write down what marconics means. Or within positive psychology, sometimes the different chemicals that cause us to, like cortisol, or things that help us in our stress regulation. I write down these little things in the back of my notebook as a growing resource of information that I use throughout my courses.
It's easy for crystallization because you're writing it down as well, so it's giving you a little bit more memory and formalizing that process.
And also, even if you have a good memory, when there's so much that you do and you want to just be able to refer to,
you get focus to it.
Yeah. Look, at this is even lessons and stories from my life. So I do speeches. So when I am thinking of different defining moments that have happened and how I can incorporate those stories in my speeches, I make lists of them in the back of my notebooks, so that if I'm doing a talk and I'm like, what am I going to include? I could think about it and something could come up, or I could just pull out a journal like, that time my daughter asked me, do you want to show up pretty or do you want to show up on time? And like, that's literally written here. And I can include that in my talk. Shout out to Jonna, right?
So this is reoccurring though, like lessons in life? Or?
Yeah, so I do these in the back of all of my notebooks. I do affirmations.
So like do you repeat them though? Like so in your past 6 months?
No, I do new ones.
Okay.
So like so it doesn't, I don't keep writing them over again.
Okay.
I just leave them. And so it may change also. Like this is book tips for success. I'm writing my book now and I have a lot of those tips. So I might not have that in my newer journal, but I was gathering tips for writing my book during this time. And so that's reflected in the appendix of my journal. My affirmations are always in my journals though. So I take my favorite affirmations and I write them in the back, and my favorite quotes.
So like about this, kind of like your iPhone, you have your photos and you have the whole entire memories, and you go by year, month, week and day.
Exactly.
You can say, that happened in 2019, January, and you kind of go through those photos trying to find that one picture.
Yes.
So you're going to try to find your book tips. You're like, I was writing it in January and February of last year.
So I go, oh, wait, okay, that is in this volume. Yeah. And I can pull out this volume and it's right there.
Okay.
Also resources. As a business owner, I keep a growing list of resources. And so in the back of all of my journals, I have resources and organizations and companies to know. Because, you hear about a cool company and you may go, oh, I'll look them up. But for me, I like to actually take action and look them up.
Yeah.
So like I will write it down and then make sure that by the end of the journal that I actually looked up all of the companies in here. Or if there's a day and I'm like, I don't know what to do today, pull out your journal and make sure you know about all the organizations and companies you said you wanted to know about. So that's all there as well. You sound like you have a question.
No, not yet.
Oh, there are my quotes. Okay, I'm going to share a couple of my quotes with you. The good life can be taught. Of course, I believe that if you know anything about what I do. Be careful how you interpret the world. It's like that. Boom. When you write it down, you see what you're creating. That was just a quote from my girlfriend, Ruchi, who's in my WBA Business Accelerator. But when she said that, I was like, yeah, that's true, Ruchi. And I wrote it down. Adversity is necessary for success. So they can be little simple quotes that either mean something to me or mean something to my business. But like adversity is necessary for success. I do resilience training. So a simple quote like that, if I'm doing a web page for my resilience training, at the top of my webpage, it may say adversity is necessary for success, and then go into a breakdown of my resilience training and my resilience workshops. And instead of sitting there and going, what am I going to put there? My journal is something I can always go back to that will help me and guide me in what I'm doing. So that's that. I mean, I can get into the nitty gritty of teaching you what to put in your journal, but it really is different for every person. I'll just show you a couple of pages that I would say maybe are good and reflective of what this process is like. Actually, for my first journal, I'm going to show you, I went to a trade show. And at the trade show, I was buying crystals. So I took the cards of the two major suppliers and put them right in the journal.
Oh.
Sometimes you get business cards and you don't want to keep them, but like I like the visual of a business card to remind me.
But same, I always lose them. I always keep them on my desk. It's like I always look back at them like, there's a reason why I have it.
Yeah.
Because if I don't mind it, I just throw it away.
Yeah.
But the ones I mean, I want to get back in touch with them.
And so you can also keep them in your back pocket here.
Okay. I like your method.
You can also keep them in your back pocket here, or you can put them right in your journal. And then on the next page, what I did is everything that I purchased, I wrote down the vendor how much it cost me and how much I'd like to sell it for on my website. So I can do this in Excel, but literally while I'm at the trade show, I'm writing down what I'm buying from each vendor. Because if you know trade shows, you get to a trade show, you get all these people in front of you, you get home and it's like, that was great, but like, what was that? So this is a way of just staying organized. Yeah, right. And like analysis paralysis.
Yes.
Yeah. So
and you can still plug into Excel afterwards and stuff all that data anyway. So it works out.
This is coaching. When I was getting a coaching certification during this time. So these are some of the best coaching practices. I cut it out and put it right in the notebook instead of keeping this separate in a folder. You get folders and they get junky with papers. Just put it right in here. There is tape that I use that's right here. And so if I want to, you'll see a couple of times where I was doing something and I took notes that were outside of my journal. That's a little junky, but hold on, I'll show you a prettier one. Okay, so I took notes outside of my journal and I used this paper tape that you can get from any like Michael's or any stationery store. And I actually taped this extension of a page into the notebook so that everything is kept in one place. So if I took notes outside of my notebook, put it back in the notebook. So I don't have to carry a folder. I don't have to carry a bunch of different notebooks. I just carry this.
Okay.
So
like there's it's business, it's personal, it's professional.
It is.
It encompasses everything.
Yeah. So, okay, I'll give you another best practice for my notebook. At the end of every month, I do a reflection. So I do a reflection. I just did my reflection on June and what I accomplished in June and what happened in June or what I was troubled with or challenged with. How productive was I? Was a progress report? And I do progress. So I do a separate progress report and that's all work related. Okay. But my
monthly review.
Yeah. My monthly review can be personal as well. So it's like, how did I feel this month? Like, what, was I on point? Did I feel off? Like, what am I proud of? What are my prayers for the next month or my goals or, what am I grateful for? All of that stuff is in my reflection of the last month. And that's a way of, I may write in another, I do still keep another journal because I really like to write. But I keep some of my journal updates in my planner because I actually even started to notice where my energy is best through the year. So I know like in July that I want to spend more time with my kids. And I know I'll recognize that July is not a month that I always want to stack with a lot of things to do. Okay. But I know that once September is back in and the kids are back in school, I see how productive I am. And I know that, okay, so I should put task like this for September, task like this for January, task like this for December. You start to see what your trends are and become more aware of them when you can look in one place for them.
That's great, because I actually think about that as well, about like certain time periods, especially like at certain businesses. Like I know catering is always slow for me, like December and January.
Yeah.
So I try to pull off from that, just focus on like building the long term, but not trying to get any more leads, take more vacations, see my family go back to New York, so I'm always on vacation from the holidays, but then summertime is my busiest time. So I'm like, let's get everything done immediately and just kind of like focus on me so I can do it, hopefully, and stay rested and stay healthy, but not task too much because I'm doing too much already.
Yeah.
Because it's my busy season.
Yeah, but it helps to bring your awareness to like when your peak times are. If you haven't, you're a very self-aware person, so you may recognize that without the use of something like this. But
I think it will help give more clarity, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it might be certain points like, wow, like there are some pockets of time I could use, so maybe I should meditate more, or maybe take a break, or find certain gaps. Like, is it worth my time as well?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm working on right now. It's like, are certain things worth my time? If it's not, either I charge more or I don't do it.
Yeah. And defining, when we can define what our busy times are and when our more chill times are, we can not feel so bad if we're chilling. So like if we say, circadian rhythm is different. That's like our rising. But this it is a rhythm. So if we say that like in August, I'm going to go hard in May and June so that in July and August I can take it easy. And what does taking it easy look like? That means that I need to work for at least 5 hours a day, but not work for 24 hours of the day, which as a business owner, I do
We just do all
sometimes.
the time.
So I say 5 hours a day. I do my weekly planner, as I showed you in here, and I block out what am I doing for those 5 hours. And
You
the
might
rest
get
of the
done a lot
day,
faster.
if I get anything else done, then it's just the cherry on top. But I said that in August, working 5 hours a day was enough for me. So now that lets me be more free in August to
Okay.
not be like, I'm slacking. No, I already defined what productive looks like in August.
Okay.
And I've already planned for it. So whatever else I do is my time to do.
I like that.
He likes that. All right. So that's it. That's us with bullet journaling. Look up online, just Google and Pinterest and look at bullet journaling ideas, but you need to order your journal, your Luchtturm. You want to get your erasable pens. You want to get your ruler so that you can do your lines like we've done here. And yeah, you want to get started. You want to use your pocket and you want to just get creative. Use your labels and really create what it is that you need for a planner. You don't have to wait for someone to create the ultimate planner. You can create it yourself.
Thank you.
Boom.
Start mine now.
Signing off. This is Amber and Ryan. Ryan, where do we find you?
Oh, many places, but I always say go to saltandco.com, saltandko.com, or Instagram, The Bachelor Chef.
Yes, and you can find me at The Flow Coach on Instagram and quartzwellnesscollective.com. That's QUARTZ, wellnesscollective.com. It's Amber and Ryan. We hope we helped you out.
Take care.
Peace.